So I've been in aluminium windows and doors since I was about 19 years old.
If we just go back to originally when you started within AJ Aluminium, how much different is the standards and the compliance and the specifications from back then to now?
These days, 20 years on, compliance is much more difficult to navigate. The requirements for thermal performance has gone quite high, very high in the last few years.
Would you agree to say that back then there wasn't any push or any consideration for how the window actually performs?
Massively. I always use the analogy or the expression that you can go to some of our system suppliers, buy their product, make the window in their car park, go and install it. Compliance 20 years ago, the education wasn't there. I still think the education is lacking. There's a lot of work that could be done for education on how to manufacture windows. So the system suppliers offer very little training in Australia. They don't have any fabricators in-house that will come and train you on their systems. But yeah, compliance 20 years ago was, I would say, nearly non-existent.
Why is it important for competitors like us to still stand together in the industry?
I think we should be united against what's coming in from overseas.
Yep.
I think we should be protecting our industry, protecting jobs, and also protecting the end user, right? I mean, that's all part of our brief.
Craig Palmer, the director of AJ Aluminium, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast.
Yep. Hi, Chris. Good to be on the podcast. Looking forward to today's chat. Hopefully we can cover some subjects that are close to both our hearts.
Yes.
Get across what we do, what we want to do moving forward, how we think, and how we can hopefully make the industry better overall.
Definitely.
Okay? And not only for the industry, but also for the clients, the end users, getting them to appreciate windows and doors aren't just for looking through, but they're also for the health of the building, the health of the people in the building, making sure that what we're providing suits their lifestyle.
It's a really important element in the
Hugely,
build.
everything,
Yes.
all of that, okay? We look through windows and doors every day, but not many people understand the science behind it, what we have to do
Yes.
to make sure we comply,
Yep.
the cost of the compliance, the cost of the manufacturing, the cost to have a business in Australia.
Yes.
We all know that's an expensive exercise, and why we try and encourage people to come and see our products.
Yes.
Not just the products, but come and see how we make them, where they come from, and who makes them. You can come to my factory, you can meet the bloke that makes your windows.
That's right.
Okay, it's really easy. You know, we're not hiding anything. You know, it's nothing's coming from overseas. Everything's here, made here, manufactured here in Mona Vale, and shipped all around New South Wales.
Yeah. So what I think is that your phone?
Oh, sorry, that's me. Just
Oh.
no, you can wait. Yeah, sorry, I thought I must have turned it off. Right, okay.
So Craig and I have competed on many jobs over the years, and I think it's great. I think good competition is great. When we're both making the same products, good quality, it's very important. And we've got a bit of a funny story to tell, don't we, Craig? About 21 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
What were you doing? If you want to tell everybody just what started you in the industry, how you came about to now being a managing director in AJ Aluminium. It'd be good to get a bit of a background of yourself and within the industry.
Yep. So I've been in aluminium windows and doors since I was about 19 years old. A good friend of mine got me a job fitting windows when I was young, and I gradually moved away from that company. I've started a career with Dormer. Most people in the industry would know Dormer globally. They're a large company. I worked for those guys for 5 years in a special projects department in the UK. We did all sorts of jobs ranging from airports through to exhibition centres, some very unusual projects that they would specialise in. Then I felt I needed a break and decided to do some travelling. Ended up in Australia. I was very fortunate that when I got here, I was sponsored by a large company, an American company, and I was given a position of technical sales for automatic doors.
Yes.
So that was around about 2002. So off I went, driving around Sydney and New South Wales, trying to sell automatic doors to all the fabricators, builders, anyone I could meet.
Yes.
And through my travels, I came across Razorback Glass
Yep.
down southwest Sydney, and Chris at the time was the estimator, and I don't know if you actually remember me.
I didn't until you mentioned it to me on the phone when we spoke not too long ago. Yeah.
And as we said, we chatted about. I think you had hair. I still didn't have hair back then. Okay, mine fled pretty early on.
And I got rid of mine by choice.
So I used to travel around selling automatic doors. So I quite quickly understood that the landscape in Australia was not dissimilar from the European landscape or the UK landscape with windows and doors, particularly in the commercial sector.
Yep.
Automatic doors are very similar. And got to know a lot of the fabricators, saw what they were doing. And one of the fabricators that I used to sell to was AJ Aluminium. Mm-hmm. And the owner at the time, Tony Brown.
Yeah.
He asked me if I wanted to join. And at the time, there was only 4 other people in the business, him, a fabricator and an installer, a couple of installers.
Yeah.
And I joined the business. And we managed to grow the business.
Yep.
And 3 years ago, he decided that he'd had enough, which I understand. The rigors of business takes its toll on you.
It does.
They're long days, it's hard work. And we'd built the business up pretty successfully. So by that time, there was maybe 25 people in the business. Mm-hmm. And then he retired. My factory manager, or our factory manager, Craig Thomas, bought into the business with as a shareholder. And since then, we've moved.
Yep.
We've moved from Warriewood to our current location in Mona Vale, much bigger premises, bought some extra machinery. And we're now, we're up to about 40 people, I think, in the business, maybe around 40, 41 people, all told, with our fabricators, our office staff, and our installers.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people.
A lot of headaches.
40 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, 39. I don't have my own headaches, obviously.
But it also shows that, growing in a business, you need to have systems and processes. And part of that is compliance.
Massively.
Right? Yeah. So if we just go back to originally when you started within AJ Aluminium, how much different is the standards and the compliance and the specifications from back then to now? Because what are we talking, 20 years?
Yeah, just over 20 years. Yeah, long time. Yeah. So you probably remember compliance 20 years ago was AS 1288.
Yes.
Okay. And that only just changed to the 2006 edition when I joined AJ. Previous, I think, was 1988 standard. So it's a very old standard. The AS 2047 standard was bouncing around, but there wasn't a BASIX. Mm-hmm.
No NATHERS report for residential.
No NAVERS, no Section J.
No Section J.
So it was very much standard clear glass everywhere.
Yes.
Apart from a bathroom, you might have white glass in it.
Yep.
These days, 20 years on, compliance is much more difficult to navigate. The requirements for thermal performance has gone quite high, very high in the last few years, which is a good thing. For a long time, I think we manufactured windows that were poor performance thermally, structurally good, but very poor performance. And as we all know, we sit on our couch in the wintertime with a doona on, okay?
And aircon blasting.
And we supposedly live in a warm climate.
Yes.
That's not normal.
No.
Okay. So
would you agree to say that back then there wasn't any push or any consideration for how the window actually performs?
Massively.
It was, this is what I want, make it and put it in.
Yep.
And there was no consideration for water Pascal ratings or U value and SHGC that comes down to the energy efficiency.
Yes.
It was just give me that window. And do you also feel that back then was a lot of, I like to use the term loosely, cowboys?
Yeah.
Building from the back of your utes,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And that's right. I always use the analogy that or the expression that you can go to some of our system suppliers, buy their product, make the window in their car park, and go and install it.
That's right.
Okay, that's what you used to be able to do. Actually, maybe you still can in some markets, but certainly, yes, compliance 20 years ago, even as far as 10 years ago, the education wasn't there. I still think the education is lacking. There's a lot of work that could be done for education on how to manufacture windows.
Yes.
So the system suppliers offer very little training
In Australia.
Yep.
Yep.
They don't have any fabricators in-house that will come and train you on their systems.
Yes.
But yeah, compliance 20 years ago was, I would say, nearly non-existent, other than AS 1288, just selection of glass.
Yeah.
So you would have to use grade A safety glass.
Yes.
Outside of that, well, actually, you could still use float glass 20 years ago in some applications, not doors, but a lot of windows would still have float glass in them.
Yep. Which you still can today.
Yeah.
Which blows my absolute mind.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do it, but still today you can. But I totally agree with your point that the standards and have significantly increased over the years.
Yes, which is only a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the only problem that we encounter is just lack of education, lack of knowledge, and when we do have compliance issues, there's not really anybody that we can speak to that can answer the questions we have. I think the AGWA is doing a great job, but in some areas, we just need a little bit more help.
For anybody that's listening to the podcast that doesn't know, AGWA is an acronym for Australian Glass and Window Association, and that's an organisation that Craig and I are both proudly members of. While you're touching on the point about AGWA, can you also just let us know, becoming a member, you and I both know, but for those that are listening that don't know, what does that membership sort of entail you? Do you get audited? Do you have to do testing? Do you have to show compliance?
Yes.
What does that, being able to display that badge that you're an AGWA member, what does that mean to Craig and AJ?
Well, firstly, I think it's quite proud to be a member,
Yep.
number one, because they do audit you. It's not just a case of paying your money and you immediately get membership. They do check. Depends on the level that you are, but we used to get audited every 12 months.
Yep.
And one of the senior guys would come out, Tony Gramlich,
Yes.
I don't remember Tony.
Remember Tony?
He would come out and very rigorous testing and auditing and make sure that what we're manufacturing is compliant,
Yes.
the way we manufacture,
Yep.
and everything we're doing is above board. Not only that, AGWA also help you if you have issues on site, you need assistance, technical advice. I've had projects where we have had issues with glass conformance. We
Yep.
don't manufacture the glass, we buy the glass from other suppliers. Glass conformance, quality of glass,
Yep.
and AGWA have attended site, independently checked the glass and advised if it is or isn't compliant. Hopefully it is.
Yes.
Normally it is.
Yes.
But there has been cases where it hasn't been as well, and they've been independent in that. Even though we're members, they still will be very honest and upfront with the end user. They're not trying to hide anyone.
There's full transparency. From
Correct. And that's important, okay? Because ultimately we should be supplying product, whatever the product, it should be compliant, it should be to code.
Yes.
So if I'm supplying a product that's not to code, then I need to be held accountable.
Of course.
Okay, so if we do something wrong,
Yep.
we need to be checked and learn from that as well, okay? We're not free from mistakes or errors. Everyone makes mistakes and errors.
And I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Regardless how many years you're in this industry, how good of a fabricator you are, how good of an estimator you are, we all make mistakes.
Everybody's valuable.
Right? Everybody's a human.
Correct.
And I think the thing that sets good company apart from a bad company is that the good companies are happy to take ownership
Yeah.
for that mistake.
Absolutely.
And rectify the issue
Yeah.
without any argument.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
know, do you also feel that sometimes the standards or the specifications are a little bit ambiguous?
Contradictory as well.
So you've just mentioned here, which is why I want to touch on it. You've had a project where AGWA have come out and had to check the conformance. I see it a lot myself with an acoustic report stating one thing, a JV3 or a Section J or another stating another, and somewhere there you have to give up one to meet the performance of the other, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
You're not always going to be able to perform acoustically as required if you need to hit a certain target and in the energy efficiency nomination.
Yeah.
So you've got that, you've coupled with engineers, you're coupled with a designer who everything works on paper, right? Do you feel that sometimes these errors are made or can happen because of the documentation that we're provided?
I think it's a number of things. I think firstly, again, it's just lack of education from the various consultants.
Yes.
Even facade engineers.
Yep.
They know structurally what the windows need to do and they should understand thermally. But sometimes the other elements of the building come into it, architectural requirements, intent, also then sway what the windows are meant to be doing. So for example, you know, you have a facade engineer that wants a certain type of glass, strength of glass, etc. Section J doesn't allow you to use that type of glass.
Yes.
And then the system itself perhaps can't accept the thickness of glass.
Yep.
You and I understand it maybe a little bit more difficult for the layman, but all of those elements don't work together.
That's correct.
And how we navigate that, it's difficult. It's difficult. And you know, you and I, if we're looking at the same job, we may approach it from very different angles in terms of pricing. So, and fabrication, system selection, if nothing's selected.
That's a very, very important part that you're touching on now.
Yep.
Is you can be presented with architectural drawings and specifications, but one estimator's interpretation of the documentation can be completely different to another's.
Correct.
And they may still comply.
But the price points are
Points can be
hugely different.
Massively different. And for the end user, can they understand that written quote difference?
No.
Even a qualified, skilled builder that's been in the industry for 30 years, I would find extremely difficult that they would be able to see a price from yourself, Craig, and one from me, and be able to pick the difference between the two.
I agree. Most of them don't read the qualifications of the tender. They don't check the glass type. Glass type is probably the biggest thing. Systems they might understand. Auspex and Capel are fairly renowned in the industry. Most builders would understand what system they're getting. Glass types, however,
extremely different.
Very different. And glass can make such a huge difference to cost and appearance. So we spoke earlier about I can price one type of glass, you can price another type of glass, each at different ends of the spectrum in terms of appearance. Performance will be similar, but cost points are hugely different. And that can make or break winning a project.
Because what does the builder understand the most?
Price, just price. Flick straight through, 10 pages of quote,
what is
goes
the
to
price?
page 10.
Is everything included? Yes. Is that your price? Is that your best price? And go from there. Touching on, going back just briefly on AGWA, how valuable is being a member and being able to access the technical data that they have available for yourself and AJ?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, we use it daily. The WERS reports, the structural analysis, even the guides that they have available. It's for the guys, for the estimators, even the fabricators, being able to access that daily is invaluable. Where else would you get that information from?
Well, the thing is, a lot of people out there, they don't know where to find that information. And that was one thing we touched on earlier too. Sometimes unless you're in the know or you're being privy to a particular conversation or you're being told about it, where do you find this data that you need. How do you know what you're doing is right?
Yeah, and I often find that most architects, builders don't understand when they look at glass, values of glass, performance of glass. They simply go to the Viridian website, look at the values, but they don't understand once you put that into a window system, whether it's timber, aluminium, steel, UPVC, it changes the performance of the glass hugely.
Yes.
We know, because we have to make sure everything's compliant. So window system is tested as a whole.
That's correct.
Not just the glass.
Yes.
So that we find that's a big problem. That's a regular problem. A glass type will be specified, but when it's introduced into the aluminium window system, generally it becomes non-compliant.
And there's no calculation to be able to times this or multiply that
simple.
to work that.
Not
it's
simple.
actually a very old system, the AFRC simulation. There's 2 programs to use, and it's not easy. You can't just pick it up today and you start punching through numbers. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's very lengthy.
Yes.
And if we were doing it correctly, the building would be modelled as a whole based on window size, wall type, many
Flooring.
factors, everything. Everything. Even you could even argue the colour of the window would make difference. They don't take that into account, but that's how far you could go with it. Colour of roof.
Certainly.
Dark colour is obviously much more absorbent. But yeah, as a whole, the building should be taken into account rather than currently we're just measuring 1 metre by 1 metre window in WERS and using those values. The aluminium frame takes up 10% of that.
Yes.
And we all know aluminium is an amazing conductor.
Yes, it is.
Which is not good for windows, but it does decrease the performance of the glass based on a metre by metre.
And do you find that the windows nowadays are larger? And not only do they require a far greater performance, but now people want these huge panels with unobstructed views. How are you seeing that in today's market?
Yeah, architecturally, we've seen it moving bigger. We used to consider a 2 metre by 2 metre piece of glass as a good sized piece of glass. These days, that's a standard piece of glass for us. We've done panels up to 1.6 tonnes, and it's I would say we're probably craning glass at least once a week because it becomes far too heavy to lift once it's over 150 kilos, which is not that much for double glazing. Yes, it becomes difficult to handle and difficult to install. But yeah, bigger and bigger windows and doors. Are these days huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
So what's kept you committed in the industry over the years, Craig?
I enjoy the industry. I enjoy windows and doors. I enjoy the network of people that we get to talk with. I think the window and door industry, generally there's a lot of smart people. There has to be smart people. If you're successful in this industry, you need to be relatively smart. It's great to talk to people of that ilk and people who are passionate. My team upstairs, I wouldn't say live and breathe windows, but they're certainly passionate about what we do. And you see what we manufacture. We're not manufacturing standard metre by metre windows. And the projects we're working on, some are quite iconic in Sydney. Some of the houses we're working on have worked on. They've been iconic houses, well-renowned houses for renowned people. And so it keeps you interested.
So the end product, seeing the end product of all the hard work from your team, it excites you.
I love seeing it. I mean, it's and also, I know it's a cliche, but you want the end user, the client, also to enjoy your product.
Yes.
That's being in business. There's nothing better than somebody, whatever the product, whatever you make, whatever you manufacture, you want them to be happy with it. Okay, whether it's a sofa, a light, a window. Okay, once you've provided that product, you want them to enjoy the product. Okay, and be happy what they've spent good money on. Right.
Definitely, and I kind of feel as well that the windows is such a huge element in a home, right?
Yeah.
The price, if the client spends that little bit extra money on getting really good performing windows compared to bad windows,
Yep.
it can make or break the price point of the sale of the house, correct?
Everything.
Yeah.
Their quality of life. I mean, if some people are renovating to live in their house for the next 10 years, and that's a conversation we have on a regular basis with people, is it what long-term are you looking for?
Yes.
Okay, because if you're going to stay in the house or the building for a period of time, you want quality. You want an energy efficient window. You want a window that when you close it, you can't hear what's going on outside. You
Yep.
want that safety, security, and performance. And for a small amount more, you're absolutely right. Double glazing these days, I would say 95% of our business is double glazed.
Yes.
Cost of double glazing is barely any different to single glazing. The quality of the double glazing has come on leaps and bounds. Most of the suppliers are automated
The technology
massively.
today
Yep.
is leaps and bounds
Yep.
from where it used to be.
Yeah, hugely. And if you look 10 years ago, the cost of double glazing has actually gone down in 10 years, even as everything else has increased in cost because it's become efficient.
That's right.
It's become efficient to make, and it's also competitive. So 10 years ago, everybody would think double glazing was triple,
expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
4 times the cost of single glazing.
Yep.
These days, you would probably say it's between 30 to 50% more, dependent on the double glazing. But it's much more achievable for nearly everybody, and it should be.
Yep.
Most people should have double glazing.
And the soft coated low E's
Yep.
have no haze,
Yep.
and they perform almost double what a single hard coated low E is going to
Yep.
perform.
Yep.
And the cost for a soft coated low E compared to a hard coated low E in a double glazed unit
Yep.
is sitting at almost the same, if not a little bit lower.
A little bit less.
Yeah.
Again, they've just managed to produce a lot of it. They've become efficient at it.
Yeah.
And they understand the marketplace has shifted, certainly in the last 3 years. Maybe you could say maybe 5 for the commercial sector. They
Yes.
were leading the way. The residential sector is catching up a little bit. But certainly soft coats, I would say, out of the double glazing, 80% would be soft coats that we push.
Yes.
Clarity, the quality, the longevity of it
Yes.
is
'Cause it's
excellent.
AS4666 compliant.
Yes.
So you got 10 years
Yes,
warranty.
correct. All of those things, you mentioned the haziness,
Yes.
the light transmission,
Yes.
everything is amazing.
Yep.
It's for us these days, it's really a no-brainer to suggest that to clients. We give them examples with a heat box to test the different levels of performance, and cost is a great point.
And what makes you proud of Australian manufacturing when it's done properly?
Everything. It's nice that we keep it all here. We spoke earlier, if there's a problem, we come back and fix it.
That's right. Yep.
Very important, okay? That's the ability. I actually don't even like buying product from Victoria because it can prove problematic if you do have issues because it's a long way away.
Yes.
If we can localise as much as possible, we do. I love buying product from Sydney as much as possible. It's not always possible, but as much as possible. But we are only ever an hour away. We have problems, we go back and fix it.
Yep.
It makes me immensely proud that we employ Australians to manufacture Australian product and install into Australian buildings. It's so important. This industry is so important. I'm not sure how many people were employed in the window and door industry in Australia, but we got to fight to keep it in Australia.
Most certainly. And what makes you frustrated with the current market at the moment?
That's a long conversation.
That's why we're here.
Currently, we're finding that the imported product, particularly from China, they're selling it for prices or at points that we can't compete.
Yep.
Okay, as a business owner, we see it on a regular basis. You do as well as I do.
Yep.
And it's cheap. I mean, it's exceptionally cheap. I don't know how they're manufacturing that cheaply. I understand, speaking to people these days, China is not that cheap to manufacture in anymore. We hear a lot of the anti-dumping term thrown around. That's where the Chinese manufacturers, whatever it is subsidised by the government in order to make the product extra cheap and ship it overseas, ship it to foreign markets in order to saturate the foreign market and kill off the local industry.
So then they can capitalise on the end.
Correct. That's the end game.
I think
They're long term.
I think Australia should wake up, because we should have learned something from COVID.
Yep.
Everything got shut down.
Yep.
We couldn't go anywhere. So if you take away the ability to manufacture
Yep.
in your own country,
Yep.
at some point it's going to come back and bite you.
Correct.
I mean, look what happened in regards to the automotive industry.
Correct.
It's gone.
Yep.
We
And it will
don't
never
have
come
that.
back.
No.
It will never come back.
No.
All those people that were employed in that industry and everything localized and the local made cars, gone.
Yeah.
Glass manufacturers,
Gone.
Oceana, gone. Okay. Can't compete with Chinese products,
Yes.
cheap Chinese products.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they closed down last year. I think 250 jobs were lost.
Yep.
And another industry gone, glass manufacturing.
And you can never bring that back.
It can't. It won't come back.
No.
It won't come back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And yeah, it's a real shame to lose that. We don't have any other manufacturing of glass in Australia anymore.
Well, there's a lot of product now that you can't actually get your hands on.
Yeah, there's that as well.
So,
Yes, that's right.
you know, the companies are now forced to go overseas now to buy product
Yep.
and bring it back here to process it.
Yep.
I think what you're saying before, just about touching on the imported windows and anti-dumping, I think it's very important for our industry to sort of all get behind each other and get behind the movement at the moment, because like you're saying, it's 100% correct. If we lose what we're able to do here in the way of manufacturing windows and it's gone, it won't come back. We lose so many jobs.
Yes.
I think that Australia has, out of many different countries in the world, a pretty stringent standard
Yep.
for how we manufacture, how we test,
Yes.
the performance of windows. And I think that's so important. Seeing it myself firsthand with pricing residential projects, for instance, I am pricing a duplex, single glazed, energy efficient glazing, Comfort Plus or Energy Tech, and a supplier comes in from overseas, he's less than half the price.
Yeah.
And he's doing double glazing.
Yeah.
But what builders don't understand is a lot of the certification these overseas companies have is actually not, the windows that they're providing you is actually not covered under that certification.
Yep. Correct.
And I think that's another reason why it's so important that companies like yourself and people like yourself and I get behind that AGWA movement, get behind the promoting the Australian made, because if we don't, more and more of it's going to come in.
Yep.
And we're going to lose out.
Yep.
And not just us personally or in business, but the industry as a whole.
The industry and the end user. The end user is paying good money for the property, and they're potentially having non-compliant product.
That's right.
The windows may fail.
Which they can't get serviced.
Correct. Okay. The glass may not perform
Yep.
to what it should be. The window as a whole it may be not performing to what it should be. They're perhaps not tested to correct criteria. And the people that have bought these windows, and they don't know, because they're buying a brand new duplex or a brand new house or a brand new apartment.
Yeah.
They don't know what's compliant and what isn't. They're not experts,
Yes.
and they shouldn't be.
Yes.
They shouldn't need to be. They're relying on the industry and the builders and the certifiers,
That's
making
right.
sure that everything is compliant, what they buy and what they've paid for is correct. And I don't know how much of that is going on, but I would imagine quite a bit, because developers are simply set up. They are set up to make money. That's their whole game. There is no, some are, some aren't, but I would say quite a few are just looking at bottom line.
It's about the money.
Yeah.
And just touching on that certification, over the years, and still to today, there's actually no license in New South Wales to give a glazing certificate.
Yep. Correct.
Yes, if you're doing a residential project over the value of $5,000, you're meant to have a
Glazing
fair trading
licence,
license and a supervisor's license. But if you're doing work for people, you don't have to be licensed to give a glazing certificate. Now, that glazing certificate tells you whether the project meets compliance.
Yep.
And a lot of the jobs are getting windows from overseas, getting a certificate that actually is not checked. It's just got the certificate, tick the box, move on, that are being installed by unlicensed window installers. Untrained.
Yep.
That also are not providing warranty or service
Yes.
for those windows, nor are they providing compliance.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, the end user, whether it's the builder or developer doing the project trying to save money, or it's the unintended, what I'd like to call it, a victim of the build,
Yep.
the homeowner purchasing that, they're the ones that get left out at the end.
Yes. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's something that hasn't changed in the time I've been in this industry now for 20 years with AGWA Aluminium, and we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
There's not a window installer's course. Mm-hmm. There's not a window installer's license.
Yep.
There's not a fabricator's license.
Yes.
There's not a fabricator's training course. Yep. And this is, to me, is a large hole in the building industry. I don't know how many aluminium windows and doors are installed around Australia per year. I would imagine a lot. And you don't need a license to install that.
You also don't need a license to become an estimator.
Yes.
And I think that's something that AGWA's only just brought out, an estimating course.
Yeah.
But I always have a strong belief, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it all starts with your estimator.
Yep.
If they are quoting the wrong systems,
Yep.
the wrong performance,
Yes.
and non-compliance, whether they are unintended or intended or not,
Yep.
it all starts there. You're going to install what the estimator's quoted for.
Yes.
Unless you have another process down the track that you've checking that work.
Yeah, I think if we misestimate, if we make a mistake during the estimation process, we are quite transparent that we've either missed something or made a mistake.
Yep.
And if it's too far down the track, then generally we would just adjust whatever we're meant to be supplying. So, for example, if we've quoted the wrong glass and further down the project we've realised, we would generally change the glass type to make sure it's compliant.
But not everybody's going to do that.
Not everyone's going to do that. And I even often think you can write whatever you want on an estimate, but where's the proof of you've actually supplied what you've priced?
Yes.
There's no branding on any of the products that we install. There is stamps on the glass,
yes,
but it doesn't tell you what glass it is.
Yeah.
So we could quite easily substitute clear double glazing when we've priced high performance soft coat double glazing.
Yes.
There's no way of knowing that.
Unless you do a special meter test, but not everybody's going to have that equipment to do that.
Correct. Yep. And also, or your certifier does his due diligence and asks for delivery notes of glass types as well.
There's a lot going on there in the background at the moment where they're trying to catch up and they're trying to bring these things in place. But for so long, our industry's been left alone.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people out there that are just looking at the bottom dollar. Fabricators alike, some may not understand what's required and are doing their best. And I know
Yep.
at some point when I started in the industry, I was very much the same. I thought we could do silicon joints. We have to make mistakes to learn, right?
Yep.
But I kind of feel also that in today's age, there needs to be more that certifiers are doing, or how a regulatory body actually can go to make sure what somebody's just done is compliant,
Yeah.
and hold them to account. And I think that's something in New South Wales that we're lacking.
I agree. I think it needs to start with regulations.
Yeah.
That's where it needs to start, because people won't do it unless they're forced to do it. It's the same old story. I also think the system suppliers could do a lot more in education with the systems themselves, explain the loading tables to the uneducated,
Yep.
There's explain what water penetration is and how it's measured, how it's tested, because people coming into the industry, if the older people in the industry don't know, how are they ever going to teach the younger people coming into the industry?
That's right.
The glass manufacturers are reasonably helpful. That's much more of a science with glass. So I do feel that they actually are quite proactive. The
Yep.
likes of Ridian, the likes of AGG, and some of the others, they are quite proactive in explaining the nuances of glass.
Yes.
But perhaps that
But
should be
their skill is also limited to glass.
glass. Correct, but that's where they should be in working in collaboration with some of the system suppliers, Capital, Alspec, etc., to explain what their glass does in the systems and how it performs and how
Yep.
it changes.
Yep.
It's just education. That's what I feel, that our industry lacks a lot of education
Yep.
within the industry. Unless you go looking for it, and I'm really looking for it, it's hard to find. Some other system suppliers do offer training and do offer assistance, but they're not easy to find either.
I mean, we could talk about one of those now too. Rainers, for instance.
Yep.
You're a proud Rainers fabricator.
Yep.
You've sent obviously for those that don't know, Rainers is a system from Belgium.
Yes. Yep.
It's a thermally broken system, very high performance. Rainers is a company that have invested heavily in training.
Yes.
In training
Hugely.
to manufacture, in training to install.
Yep.
I believe they've got their own university over there.
Yeah, so they have a large training facility in Belgium. They're a family-owned business. They've been around for 60 years.
Yep.
Still owned by the same family. Very family-orientated, great business. When you go over there, very great people. People are amazing throughout the business. Huge training facility. Their R&D is next level.
Yes.
So you go there. We have to go there every 2 years to keep our license to manufacture their product.
Yep.
We have to go to Belgium. I take a number of my staff, fabricators, estimators. We go there. We get taught their new systems and some of their older systems, just as refreshers. And then we come away with certificates stating which products we can manufacture. Not all products.
Yes.
Only the products that we've actually had training on are we allowed to purchase from them.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
They back us up with online training videos, seminars, that type of thing. The manuals are extremely comprehensive. Each manual for the product is around about 1,000 pages long.
Yes.
And they even have checklists when you're manufacturing a product that you go step by step through the checklist when you manufacture, which has to be signed off by one of the fabricators. Then installation, the same. Step by step, you have to sign it off. Builder signs for the installation, ticks all the boxes, gets a copy of that installation certificate. That's the type of thing we should be doing here. The local guys should be adopting those systems. It's nothing new,
No.
right? And it's not hard to find.
But it also it keeps the value of the system,
The product,
and the brand.
Yeah. It stops
You know?
anybody buying it, making it badly, installing it badly, and diminishing the brand. As we spoke about earlier, there's system suppliers that we can buy their product, make it with no formal training, no tools, no correct tools, I should say, no machinery, no premises, install it, not being trained how to install it. It can fail, leak, and the brand gets dragged through the mud.
That's right.
The Rainers are protecting their brand. It's important. And it's important for us as well when people are paying over...
Windows aren't cheap.
Yeah, and Rainers windows aren't cheap. Okay,
High performance windows.
Yeah, high performance windows. You are
cheap.
getting what you pay for.
That's right.
They really are. They are outstanding windows, and we're very proud to be making them because it is difficult. They are difficult to manufacture, and we're extremely proud that what we've done with Rainers is good, but it eliminates problems later on.
Yes.
So people buying those windows, they know that we are a bona fide fabricator. We've had all the correct training. We hold the licenses. Our guys have been trained. And the people that are installing these windows know what they're doing with the windows.
Yes.
There's a responsibility there.
And there's credibility.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's also the same of being a member of AGWA.
Yes.
There's a level of credibility that badge comes with.
Correct.
To be able to manufacture a Rainer's window, there's a significant investment in the
Huge
business.
investment. Yeah.
Machinery.
Yep.
Training.
Yep.
And those things come at a cost.
Yes.
So to be able to hold that certification, what you've had to go through to get that is extremely honourable, but also important.
Yes.
You know, just talking about the systems and manufacturing them in the car parks. Over the years, there's been a lot of companies copy other companies' sections. I mean, the old standard 400 series shop front. I think every Tom, Dick and Harry copied that one.
Yep. It's been around for a while.
There's been quite a few, and they start by copying other people's systems, bringing them from overseas cheaper, selling them cheaper. But a lot of people don't understand too, and I'm not going to name names of other companies, but there's a couple of companies out there that are selling equivalent products, but they don't hold the same testing. There's not the same thickness in the material.
Correct.
But they're still using them on the same applications.
Yep.
So what I wanted to touch by with you is what should builders verify when it comes to compliance, becoming standards? What would you expect a builder to verify? Not just receiving that certificate and saying, "Yep, that's done, tick the box." What should a good builder be doing?
I think a builder should be inspecting the product before it gets installed, number one. I think he also should be really, if in an ideal world, go to the factory. Go to the fabricator's factory, see what they're making, see the products, where they're buying it from, making sure what they've quoted is what they're supplying. Mm-hmm. And not just with the aluminium, but also with other elements, hardware, etc. And asking for the test reports.
Yes.
Asking for the information. It's not easy to get, as we spoke about earlier. It's not easy to find for the layman. We do it day in, day out. We can quickly give you the test certificates. We can prove what we're doing is correct for the wind, the water rating, and the application. We can do the same with the glass. We can give you all of that information. We're not hiding anything.
Yes.
And that's what the builders, the homeowners, the developers are probably failing to ask for. It's probably not deliberate. It's just, again, it's an educational thing. They really don't know. They're probably learning. So some of the apartment builders, the class 2 builders, are understanding because of the legislation they need to comply to.
Yes.
And the class 1 builders, the house builders, are slowly getting up to speed as well. I would say it's maybe the middle tier of commercial builders. It's still quite loose in that sector.
Yeah.
But that's what they need to be checking. They should have documentation. You should be able to provide documentation before you provide the windows.
Now, I want to question you on something. Does it not blow your mind that you do not need to hold a license to install windows and doors for a commercial premises?
Yeah.
You could do a school, a whole school. It could be $1 million worth of windows, and you do not need to hold a license or a trade certificate.
Yep.
Does that not just
make you
dumbfounded?
Said this so many times over the years. I hold a glazier's license.
Yes.
Okay. We're not really glazing.
Yes.
Or glazing as such.
More carpentry,
installation, but unfortunately there's not that license available. So fair trading, asks you to have a glazier's license.
That's correct.
To install windows and doors over $5,000 in a residential property. But I can provide $1 million worth of windows on a school or a hospital and have zero license or not need a license to do that. I would say the opportunity for problems is a lot larger on a project of that scale and technical aspects as well.
And you could get Betty, who lives next door, that knows nothing about windows, sign a glazing certificate.
Yep.
And nobody would blink an eye.
Yep. Because no one checks.
Yeah.
No one's checking. Certifiers. The certifiers really are just collating all the information. I would say most of them don't even know the code. Some of them, I would say, know codes in some areas, but the glazing codes, performance codes, I doubt. They're reliant on the window manufacturer, the window supplier, to be doing the right thing. It's a lot of faith.
And particularly if that supplier is only price driven and worry about the end dollar,
Yep.
or how much money they're going to make,
Yep.
and they're not passionate about the industry
Yep.
like yourself,
Yep.
you're not going to get that far.
I think that would be most people. Look, it's important to make money. It
Yep.
is important to make money. The business needs to make money, otherwise the business doesn't survive. So the business does need to make money, but it's the way that you make that money that's important.
You have to do it the right way.
You have to do it the right way. Otherwise, the business won't be around for very long. Maybe
right.
some people are happy with that, content
Yep.
with that. It's not how you and I work.
Yes.
Okay, we are built on reputation.
Yes.
Our businesses are known for good quality product, good service, not disappearing when there's problems. There's other businesses may not be founded on those same beliefs. But yes, it's a common factor in our industry, unfortunately.
So I just want to touch on what does it actually cost to manufacture properly here in Australia?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think it depends on the scale. I think the raw product is expensive to buy already. Aluminium much more so probably than glass these days. It
Yep.
used to be the other way around.
Yes.
Aluminium has increased in cost dramatically. The cost to employ people is high. I attribute whatever their salary is, an additional 50% to cover everything that goes with employing people. Premises are expensive,
Yep.
and machinery,
Electricity.
power, electricity. We have our electricity bill is something like $5,000 to $7,000 a month. Okay, and I would imagine there's some fabricators probably don't need as much power as we do.
Insurance.
Insurances and tax.
Yeah.
You every time you think you're starting to make a little bit of headway, the ATO come in and pull that rug from beneath your feet.
Sorry, you made some money this year, so now you owe me double.
Yeah,
what
you owe
paid
us a
me
lot more
last
than you
year.
did last year, and then what happens is then you don't make money the following year, but you're still paying
But-
on the basis that you made money the year
You've got
before.
to pay double, but you also got to pay now ahead of time. So we
Yep.
calculate you're going to pay X
Yep.
amount this year. So
Yep,
now you've got
that's
to pay
right.
that.
Yep, you did. You had a good year last year, but the other 5 years you didn't. But last year you did, so we're going to calculate it on what you made last year. Then we have the conversation around payroll tax.
Yes.
Payroll tax.
Killer
Now,
for small business
that
or
is-
medium business.
That is just, I do not understand payroll tax. I'm sorry, but you are being penalised for employing people. I know it's a sliding scale, but it doesn't take very long to get over that threshold. And then it's
It's only $1 million in wages.
salaries in New South Wales. I mean, in Sydney, salaries in Sydney.
80 to 100,000 per
Easy,
person at a
easy.
minimum.
Yep.
It's 10 people.
Yep. It's quickly gets over the threshold, and then you're paying 6% per dollar just to employ people. That is a real kick in the teeth.
Yep.
Yep.
And now that also makes you wonder, well, it doesn't make me wonder, but it makes me understand why some people go, do you know what, let's just offshore. Offshore,
Yep.
offshore.
No, I get it.
And essentially, you're taking jobs from Australians.
Yep.
And you're now, it's hurting the economy even more because that money that we're paying people here isn't going back into the economy.
Correct. To tax,
Yeah.
how much tax would they lose if the industry went? If it all went overseas,
Yep.
then none of us are paying tax anymore. Everything's staying overseas, and that's another industry lost.
Yep.
And another, I would say, huge amount of tax that's not going back into the industry. It's not just a tax, but also people's wages, and people are then spending money going back into it. All the peripheral businesses, not just the fabricators, but all the peripheral businesses associated with the window and door industry,
Yep.
even so far as the local sandwich shop,
That provides lunch and morning tea
correct,
for
for
the
the
staff.
fabricators,
Yep.
the coffee van, all
Yep.
of those guys, all of a sudden, that's money they're losing as well. So it's that whole ripple effect of allowing the industry to dwindle because the government isn't stepping in and helping us keep the industry onshore. They help other industries. Bananas,
Yes.
we always buy Australian bananas. Okay, that's great, right? It's protected that industry. Why isn't the building industry being protected as well?
I think it's time that tariffs get introduced
Hugely.
so
Yep.
that
It's
we
too
are
much.
on an
Yep.
even playing field, because
Yep.
right now it's not. And I think there's a lot that the government can do that aren't doing. Not only just helping support us
Yep.
with whether it be tax concessions for employing more people,
Yes.
or incentivise having a Australian-made business, keeping profits here
Yep.
and not moving overseas for 3 months of the year. Now your business is in a different country, so you don't have to pay taxes. But particularly manufacturing is something that the government needs to start getting behind, and not, if they don't do it tomorrow and they never do it, it will go.
Yeah, it will.
So talk to me about some of the machinery and that has been an absolute game changer for AJ Aluminium and yourself.
Yeah. So along with the Rayner's product, we realised our machinery that we currently had maybe 5 or 6 years ago was a little bit dated. We were moving over to a different software manufacturing product that needed certain machinery, and also with manufacturing Rayner's and Elspec as well. The benefits of having a CNC machine was second to none.
Astronomical.
You couldn't manufacture Rayner's without CNC machine. So we looked around, we took the plunge, we spent quite a lot of money on our first CNC machine, and figured that it was going to be big enough for what we wanted. We quickly realised after about 3 years that we'd outgrown it, and we needed to buy another CNC machine. Now, CNC machines, they vary in price. You know, you can spend anywhere from $100 to $2 million, dependent on the product and the brand and what you want to do with it. Our first CNC was an Elematic, a Lumatech, depends where you're from in the world. German-made, very well-known brand in window and door machinery. That was around the 260 mark for that one. 260,000. And that was 5 years ago. These days, I think they're around about the 300,000 mark. Then we bought the second CNC, which is much bigger, a dual head CNC. So it can actually cut and machine 2 pieces of aluminium at a time. And that one was nearly $600,000. If you add on the cost of the saws, the larger saw was 200,000, smaller saw was about 100,000, and then all of the other machinery that goes with it, cranes, etc. I would say all up, the setup cost or our overall spend would be close to $2 million just to get to where we are. But the quality and level of production that we can do, nothing is outside of our scope now. We can manufacture just about anything. We can fabricate. Okay, so I like to think of, we are fabricators. Okay, so you come to us, you have a special design, a real bespoke window or door, we can fabricate it. We have the ability to fabricate it. 5 years ago, we probably didn't, but now we do. Productivity has gone up immensely. The Rayner's product allows us to semi-automate. When I say semi-automate, the Rayner's product, they have a barcoding system. When you produce the manufacturing drawings, you send that to the saw. The saw cuts the material, prints out a sticker. The sticker has a barcode on it, goes on that individual piece of aluminium. You scan the barcode, the CNC knows exactly what to do with it. It can drill, cut, machine, anything, anywhere on that piece of aluminium that needs to be done. So productivity is through the roof. We produce, we're very streamlined. We have 10 full-time fabricators in the factory producing everything from a fixed window through to a huge bespoke glazed skylight. Curtain walling, structurally glazed curtain walling, anything.
And do you find as well, like going back just a minute, talking about introducing the CNC, Before CNCs, there used to be a copy router.
Yep.
Everything was done by hand.
Yep.
You had a plate.
Yep.
It had a pin, and you'd be able to, with a drill bit,
Yep.
mill out what you needed.
Yep.
I kind of felt, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel that was a bit of a dying trade to an extent that the older people in the industry knew how to use them.
Yep.
And used them very well because that's
correct.
what they had.
Good skill to have.
Definitely.
Yep.
But the younger generation and new people that are coming in the industry don't quite understand how to use them correctly.
Yes.
A CNC, on the other hand, is far easier to use
Yep.
for the younger generation.
Yes.
Because it's automated and computerized.
Yes.
But it also allows you to do far
It's unlimited.
unlimited processing.
Yeah, unlimited. It also allows you to manufacture different systems that previously you perhaps didn't have the tooling for. So historically in our industry, we would have punches and copy routers. These days, we are using CNCs to do the same thing as the punches and the copy routers. In fact, we have nearly got rid of all of our punches.
Yeah.
Because as system suppliers bring out new products, they don't always have the punches available. So it restricts what you can do. The punches quite often follow 6 to 12 months after the product is released. So they release a new window or door system, then you don't have a punch. The CNC, on the other hand, immediately you can manufacture it. You don't need to wait for the punch to be released. It also, I think as well, it just gives you the ability to change anything, change hardware, change design, and you're not restricted by the size of the aluminium either. You know, the bigger sections, the curtain wall sections that you didn't have the machinery to notch. That's also taken. You know, the CNC allows you to do that now.
Yeah.
It's unlimited.
Yes.
Endless possibilities to manufacture.
How does unfair competition show up in the local market, and how have you seen that? And is it something that you're seeing more and more of?
With the local guys?
Yeah.
So the local guys, obviously we're quite a large business these days, so our overheads are significant. Mm-hmm. We struggle competing at certain price points in the marketplace. So we know that we aren't going to compete at a certain price point because there's another 10 or 20 fabricators that can compete, but their overheads are much lower.
Yes.
They maybe have 1 or 2 fabricators, 1 or 2 office staff, couple of utes, smaller premises, no machinery. I don't think that's ever going to change. There's always going to be different tiers of competition. I'm happy for people to have the business, to be honest, because building still needs to be competitive. There's no point in cost. It starts becoming too expensive to build because then building will cease. So you need people at different price points. It's kind of like builders.
Yes.
A tier 1 builder is going to be hugely more expensive than a tier 3 or tier 4 builder simply because of their business structure, their overheads. Mervac is going to be more expensive than a one-man band building a house, right? Yep. It's just how it is, multiplex, etc.
Yes.
But they go after the projects that suit them. So I don't mind the competition in the marketplace. I don't mind that. It makes sense.
But how are you seeing unfair competition from the overseas market?
Oh well, that's a different conversation. That's
so competition, like we touched on earlier. We compete on jobs, and
it's a fair competition,
and it's fair.
Right?
It's a fair game.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to win it either on your merit
Yep.
or on the tweaks that you've made to that job because of your interpretation, or vice versa. And that's fine. But the unfair overseas competition. How do you see that showing up in the local market?
I see it frequently, more and more. I see it in some areas of the market. So the high-end residential market, not so much. The markets that we both go into, but then I also see it in the duplex market.
Huge.
The mum and dad developer market.
Yeah.
Okay. The smaller developers who don't worry too much about the compliance side of things, know that they can skirt around the compliance.
Just sign a certificate.
Yeah.
We'll pass that. My certifier is good.
Correct. They don't have the consultants on board that the larger builders have and need. I would say those that competition is hard and tough. You can't compete. We cannot compete. You said earlier about a duplex project you won. They were half the price. We had similar recently. They were literally half the price. Firmly broken product. We'd price firmly broken product as well. It's impossible to compete against.
As a percentage, how much are you seeing that come in the market in today's industry, in today's market?
That's a hard question. I think it's much more prevalent in some markets than others.
Weekly?
Yes, we hear it weekly.
Yeah.
We hear it on a weekly basis that I've got a price from a bloke who's got a contact in China.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Can you compete? And at that point, I say no.
And do you feel that it's also part of a good reason to ask the builder who you're getting pricing from?
Yes. Yes.
As a prerequisite.
Yes, if you don't know the builder, correct. If you don't know the builder, and you also, I think, to look at a project and decide, okay, number one, what's the purpose of this project? Are they simply out to make money, or is this something that they're going to live in? Okay,
Yeah.
So that's number one. If they're just out to make money, and we don't know the builder, we quite often just decline.
Yes.
We say no, because my estimators could spend 2 days pricing that job. And obviously I'm paying them. They want to win the job. Okay, the price comes in, it's half, and then the builder tries negotiating with you. Can you match the price? Yes, I could, but then I wouldn't be in business very long. So
are they willing to show you the other quotes?
Some do, or they'll not often, not frequent. Okay, I would say maybe if you know the builder, yes. If we've done work over the years with the builder, they'll be quite honest, because it's not always the builder's call.
Yes.
It's quite often the developer's call. And it's quite often driven by the developer, because the builder will be, a lot of times, either a PC sum for Windows or a cost plus contract. And therefore, it's not their choice.
Yes.
So the builders sometimes will be honest with us and say, look, the developer has got this price. Can you match it? Do we see the quotes? No, not frequently.
But when they're saying to you the price from this company from overseas is X, Y, Z, it doesn't it blow your mind how it can be so cheap?
Yep, I've got no idea how they can do it. No idea. If they're providing the same product, compliant product that we are, that's gone through all the rigorous testing, because you've got to remember that the system suppliers, the Alspecs, the Caprals, the Rainers, they all have to spend a lot of money testing their products. A lot of money. It's not cheap to test. I think an average test is around 10 grand. So you can imagine how many variations on the same system they have to test just to get it out in the marketplace, and that all happens before it's even released. The R&D, the testing, there's a lot of money invested in these systems before it even gets to us. The overseas products, I doubt.
We don't know.
No, we don't know.
And how many times have you seen on projects that important information is left out and variations are charged at a later point from others? When you know you go into a project, you review the documents, you're quoting everything compliant, and you're being forthcoming with your information. How many times do you see where somebody else has come in, taken the job, and you hear about later that
you hear about it 6 months.
They charged them an extra 60,000 in variations, which would have been at where you were anyway.
Correct.
How often do you see that?
Frequently. Or you speak to the builder on the next job, because they invariably come back to you and you win the next project and they're like, oh, wish we would have gone with you on that last job. The other bloke didn't include this, didn't include that. And I said, didn't you read the quote? Oh, no, is the quick answer. They looked straight to page 10 at the price, flicked over the tender qualifications and signed them up.
I think a big part is the decals. A lot of window companies are excluding decals. But tell me how you can be compliant with AS 1288
if you're not doing decals.
If you don't do decals.
That's right.
You can't issue a certificate without decals.
Correct. I think there's a lot of exclusions. I think that, and also again, it's that compliance thing. I think that the compliance, people aren't always using the right sections. We look at subsills, tracks, etc. for sliding doors. Quite often people don't use the right sections. They don't understand the water ratings they're meant to be meeting, or they're not given the information at tender stage, because that is quite frequent.
Yes.
You would know how many times you've asked for water
ULS.
ratings, ULS, SLS, and all you get given is the structural steel drawings with a wind speed on there, right?
That we're meant to be calculating as terrain category 2, and that's what we're supposed to understand, right?
Yep. But terrain category 2 is a domestic window rating.
That's
you know,
right.
I mean, we frequently doing projects on the water. That's a N4 rating. Okay, and that's what you should be.
Exposed or
Correct.
corner, different water
That's
pascal
right.
ratings.
Hugely.
Yeah.
All of these. And this is never documented properly at tender stage. And again, that's where the estimators interpret it differently. You would interpret it differently.
Definitely.
Your guys, my guys, everyone else would look at it slightly different and maybe not even know the area. You know, we know our area up here and you know the Shire.
Yeah.
But if you're from out west, you've got no idea.
It makes a huge difference in a quote, because those values change the glass, change the thickness of the interlocks, change
Everything.
the thickness of the frame system.
Even the fabrication.
Of course.
Fabrication. You're using heavy duty interlocks and all of a sudden you have to notch each one out.
Yes.
Everything changes.
That's right.
And I think it's probably skipped over in a lot of quotes as well. When fabricators issued a quote, it's not necessarily clear
Yes.
what they have priced. They can always, advise in the qualifications we've allowed for this terrain category or this performance if there wasn't any provided. But again, are the builders reading that?
Yes.
Do the builders understand what a ULS is and SLS? Probably not.
A lot of the time they don't. You have to explain it.
Yeah.
Look, we're obviously, we compete on projects, but why is it important for competitors like us to still stand together in the industry?
I think we should be united against what's coming in from overseas.
Yep.
I think we should be protecting our industry, protecting jobs, and also protecting the end user, right? I mean, that's all part of our brief, okay? We are providing a product that people are spending good money on. They've saved a long time to renovate or build a house, or they're borrowing a lot of money from the bank. We should be standing together and making sure they're getting the product they deserve and what they pay for, and not disappearing when things go wrong.
Yes.
And just generally doing the right thing. That's the bottom line, right? Making sure our business is above board. We're not hiding anything. And I think it's important that competitors, although we are competitors, we shouldn't be adverse to having a conversation and being on the same side. Okay, just, we're on the same side. We're against each other in some aspects, but we're on the same side in a lot more.
Of course.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
You and I both want the industry to be better regulated.
Yes.
We want people to be happy with the product that we sell. We want to be at the right price point. Okay, so we're not, really breaking the bank for people to have good quality windows and doors. And we want to make sure our businesses flourish and the people that work for us and are in our business flourish with us and continue to work in the industry.
And I've got a saying, like, there's plenty of work out there, Craig.
Absolutely. Yep.
I don't have to cut your grass to get work. There's plenty of work out there for all of us.
Yep.
And I do know that collaboration is very important as well.
Yep.
Particularly, myself has collaborated with other companies such as Facades or OP Projects.
Yep.
I know that you guys have collaborated and helped
Correct.
each other as well, because sometimes you may have a product that's or a part that's out of stock, or and you reach out to each other, or you're going through something at the moment on a particular project that you're not 100% familiar with, but you know that they have done it before, and you tend to lean on each other and share information in that aspect,
Yes.
And I think that's so important, particularly around promoting compliance and Australian manufacturing and standing together in our industries, also being able to reach out and help each other. Because at the end of the day, we aren't bringing in stuff that's going to kill each other's business, and we both are passionate about the industry as a whole.
Yeah. I think as well, it's a case of learning from other people.
Yeah.
If you put aside, we are competitors, I I really enjoy seeing other people's businesses, successful businesses. How are they running their factory?
Yeah.
How are they making sure they're efficient? How are they making sure the product is correct? How are they compliant?
Yes.
So we mentioned I'm going across to Perth over the weekend to visit a large window manufacturer in
Yes.
Perth. Okay, he's not a competitor of mine, but I want to understand how he runs his business, how he runs his factory. What has he done to improve his windows, his doors, his end product?
Yep.
And that's important. That's something we don't have enough of. Again, open forums. How do we learn?
Very strong points there, Craig, particularly being able to go interstate, see other companies, look at what they're doing.
Yep.
How can you bring that then back to your
Yep.
business to make it better for the end user?
Everybody,
You
the fabricators. If we can introduce things in the factory that make their life better, the product better, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's just, I think we all get wrapped up in our own world too frequently and forget to look beyond our own walls, horizons. Sounds like a walk on the beach.
And I also think that there's a little bit of a stigma within our industry that people are a little bit afraid to talk to each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Oh no, he competes with me on that job, so I don't want to.
Yep.
But if they open up a conversation, like yourself and I have today, and earlier, we've talked about certain things and be like, look, if you need a hand with that, happy to reach out.
Yep.
You learn a lot more,
Very much so. You're always learning.
and it's better for the industry itself.
Everybody, the industry, the building industry as a whole,
Yeah.
the people owning the houses, the apartments, the windows. If we can continue to progress as an industry, it benefits everybody.
So I've got a couple of questions for you before we wrap up the podcast. Is where do you see the window and door industry heading in the next 10 years?
Next 10 years.
So if you consider where it's come from in the last 20.
Yep. I think compliance will continue to be strong. I'd like to think that the thermal efficiencies of windows and doors throughout Australia still continue to improve. It's good in New South Wales now. New South Wales has improved hugely in the last couple of years. The other states, Victoria's good, but some of the other states are still lagging behind. So I'd like to think that windows and doors are thermally more efficient. In the next 10 years, I'd like to see some improvements by our government in protection of the industry. I'd also like to see some education from our government or our system suppliers, or AGWA, a bit more. AGWA do provide quite a lot of training, but I think we spoke about training installers. They do a lot of theory training modules, but practical installation training would be beneficial. And fabricator training. The better we can upskill people, the more likely the industry will flourish, and again, the better quality of product we produce. Education's probably the biggest thing. I'd like to see a real push in education, but that needs to start with the larger system suppliers. They're the ones who have resources. They should have training centres, or at least trainers that can come round and show you. What else in the window and door industry? What would you like to see?
In the window industry?
Yeah, in the next 10 years.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of automation. I think, we're continually getting larger windows, larger doors. People are still innovating the systems. I mean, we've got vacuum sealed glass now.
Yep.
That performs even better than double glazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a lot of regulation. For me, I'm proudly Australian made, as you know. I sort of not afraid to scream out about protecting Australian jobs and Australian made and being proud about that. I'd love to see some government assistance for Australian manufacturers, particularly around tariffs, around incentivising making it here, keeping the job here, and how that is sort of done. I would like a lot more regulation from AGWA.
Yeah.
Look, I've had conversations with Clinton, the CEO of AGWA, over 5 or 6 years ago, and I've always banged on about it. I know they're doing a lot more now behind, or they probably have in over the years. So that's something I can't comment on, but I definitely would like to see a lot more regulation. I'd like to see the guys that are building stuff out of their backyard or shed or in the car park
Yep.
of the window suppliers
Yep.
not be able to do that and
Yes.
provide certification.
Yep.
So they're probably the two biggest factors for me is what I'd like to see change
Yep.
in our industry over the next 10 years.
I think automation definitely will continue to evolve. You and I spoke about AI
Yes.
earlier. I
Yep.
think that's going to help improve and assist with the manufacturing. I don't think it'll ever take over. I mean, I believe there are some, there's a lot of automation overseas. In Europe, there's a lot more automated saws,
Yes.
CNCs. But I'd like to think that we still need fabricators that still have those skills and can still make windows and anything bespoke. Regulation is important. It needs to be pushed, but it needs to be pushed by the system suppliers as well. The fact that you can go and buy that product, anyone can go and buy it and make it and install it, that's
Mind-boggling.
it is. What other industry can you do? Can you make something so important for all aspects, for safety, for everything,
Yep.
and have no license or regulation attached to that?
What should Australian manufacturers double down on and stay strong with?
What should they stay strong with? Limit your buying from overseas. Keep manufacturing here
Yep.
as much as possible. What I mentioned earlier about I actually don't like buying product out of Victoria because it's too far away. I like it. I like localized product that you know the person you're buying it off. I do also understand that can be a tough market out there. I get that. And it's difficult to turn a profit in business with the various costs associated with that business. But it's not impossible. It is possible. You just need to be smart about it. You just need the right people and the right products and machinery and the right clients. And you can make it work. This is a testament to making it work. You're
Yep.
a testament to making it work. It's not impossible. It's just a little bit harder.
It's hard work.
It's harder than going overseas and buying a load of cheap product, whatever it is, whether it's carpets or blinds or windows, and selling it, okay? And then if there's problems, running away. That's easy.
Where would you like to see yourself in AJ Aluminium in the next 10 years?
Honestly, I'm pretty happy where we're at now.
Yep.
We moved factories 18 months ago into this facility. This facility, this is amazing. We've got a great showroom, great bunch of people in the office, great bunch of people in the factory. I'm pretty content where we're at now. Do we need to keep growing? I think the market will dictate that if we continue to be successful. Do I want to keep growing? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I have the energy to keep growing.
It's hard work, isn't it?
It is hard work. And as you said earlier, it's 40 headaches. And the pressures with you have such a large amount of staff, payroll, etc. You need to keep feeding the beast. And that does become harder and harder the bigger you get. And of course, competing with product coming in from overseas makes it even more difficult to feed that beast.
The responsibility is huge.
It is. It's that waking up at 2 a.m. every night thinking about it. Responsibility.
Well, Craig, thank you very much for coming on the
No,
podcast
my pleasure.
today.
It's
I
been
really
very good.
appreciate you coming on Build Better, and I commend you for the work that you are doing in
Thank
our
you.
industry.
Yep.
And you guys do an amazing job.
Thank you very
So
much.
thank
It's
you.
been a real pleasure, and thank you for having me on.